Welcome back to Probe the Act on Deepstuff Radio. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to Probe the Act on Deepstuff Radio with Emmy Hikins, and a lovely singer and a songwriter, also a musician all the way from London. He's a Crystal Palace supporter, by the way. Trevor Gear, and we're back with him in the studio shortly. Can you remember where you played your very first gig, Trevor?
Well, I can actually. It was at the church hall where I was subsequently to be married. Sadly, that marriage ended a few years ago. But that's another story.
Yeah.
But yes, it was the church hall. It was a church function, and I guess basically linked to their youth club.
Yeah.
There, I remember there being huge numbers of teenagers there, and we were very pleased as a group. Our first gig, to find they were all sort of up and dancing and so on, and we felt we gave a good performance, given that it was our first time. But yeah, that was our first one, and that was at a church hall in Brixton, South London.
Yeah. I know you did say you've co-performed with, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've co-performed with a lovely country singer, a female country singer. Did you co-write the song, or was it a cover that you did?
We didn't write. I mean, ironically, she does write her own stuff.
Right.
I mean, we were sort of jamming together for 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much recently because of domestic circumstances in her case, really. But in that 4 years, we did do, as I say, some clubs. We went to one or two old people's places related to her aging mother, and a couple of pubs. And as I say, she had a wonderful voice. She wrote her own songs. Of course, I wrote my own songs, but as it happens, we tended to play Simon and Garfunkel, lots of stuff which was kind of country-ish in many cases. Some of it was pop music, you know, but she had a wonderful voice, and I think together with our harmonies, I always felt if we'd had a chance to record something commercially, I think we could have achieved something, and who knows, maybe that could still happen in the future. Yeah,
who knows? Yeah. In music, the thing is, with music, you can't predict anything. You can't, it just takes one ear to listen to it, and you're out there. So yeah,
absolutely.
Who knows? Yeah. So what I was going to ask is, what genre do you think you fit into? I mean, what genre do you think you write? Yeah.
Well, again, one thinks of comments over the years from others who hear the music, and some have said there's a distinct country and western element to my music.
Yeah.
Others have said I'm very Beatlesque. Somebody said this actually the other day on hearing one of my tracks.
Yeah.
My God, I thought that was the Beatles, which of course to mention myself in the same sentence as the Beatles was quite something to hear. But I know what they mean, because I think I was heavily influenced, always have been, by the Beatles, Lennon, McCartney and their songs, and their wonderful sound that they made as a group. So yeah, that kind of thing. But also I do enjoy some. I like rock music, the old rock and roll music as well. So I think all of those things have crept in. One of my favourite performers, singer-songwriters, was a guy who's dead now, long since, but somebody called Clifford T. Ward. I don't know whether you remember him.
Right.
I think he died, I believe, of multiple sclerosis some years ago. But he wrote kind of little stories with his songs, and again, a bit folky. And again, some have said my stuff is folky, but a bit folky, a bit country, but lovely stories. And he had 2 or 3 very big hits going back probably into the late 70s, early 80s now. But I've always, again, had some sort of influence from him in the way that I compose and create, if you like, a theme, a little story. That's how I do it. So, again, I guess mainstream stuff, not exactly grunge or garage, shall we say, but yeah, I like to sort of dip my toe into, various genres, if you like.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah. Well, the genres are blown wide open these days, aren't they? There's
absolutely.
There's rock and there's progressive rock. You think, well, okay.
No, that's true.
and there's electronic, and there's drum and bass, and so yeah. I mean, music has really evolved, isn't it?
It is.
It has, yeah.
I remember in a former life, I was able to retire early, as the banks were doing that to bank managers. But in a former life, I was a bank manager.
Right.
And one of my customers, and I'm going back now probably 15 or 20 years, was a guy called Guru Josh. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he was very much in the early phase of the electronic music movement. He had a smash hit called Infinity years and years ago, and that was the only hit he had here, I believe. But he then went out to Germany and became massively successful out there. Until I think 3 or 4 years ago, I read somewhere that he died relatively young.
Yeah.
But again, he was at the forefront of this great electronic type music. As I say, that would have been in the late 80s, I think.
Wow.
But so yeah, I knew him as a customer, and can't say we got together musically, even though in my job I still was performing even to my staff sometimes, different functions. But he was a great chap to know, very, very experienced and immensely talented too.
Right. Okay. Anyway, so are we talking about reincarnation now?
No, I don't think so. I don't see myself as a Guru Josh. Certainly.
No.
Not at all. His music was very, very different and very electric. But again, I like to feel I've learned from people in different areas of the music industry. That's how I see that. Yeah,
true. Right, so we're going to take another short break now. Please don't go away. You're listening to Probe the Arts on Deepstuff Radio with Emmy Hikins and our lovely singer and a songwriter, Trevor, all the way from London. He's also a musician as well. And we're back shortly. Please don't go away.